how to become financially independent in 5 years. So welcome back. Now, my name is Ted Thomas, and I've been involved in a home-based business for over 30 years. This business is a subset of the traditional real estate business, and I discovered this particular segment over 30 years ago. And when it's correctly done, newcomers, entrepreneurs can become financially independent quickly. By that I mean sometimes in less than 5 years. And I'm going to actually show you how on this video. Today's episode, I'm discussing your question, how to become financially independent in 5 years. Now, for sure, you can get dozens of opinions on this particular subject. Okay, now many successful businesses start out small. For example, Apple in a garage. How about Google in a garage? Microsoft in the back office. You're kind of getting the idea. So they start small. So doing this from home, you certainly can do that, and you can probably have a low-cost, comfortable office to do it. Now, most businesses start out with at least one of the individuals in the business having a special craft or a profession or something that they do very well. In other words, a skill, and then they want to do better with that skill than just work for someone else. So whether it's a mechanical skill or an intellectual skill, doesn't matter what it is, but that's usually what gets people started on having a business. Now, if that person wants to become an entrepreneur, more power to them. You're going to be able to do that. If that's going on in your head that you want to do that, you definitely need to carry that forward. You can start your own home business or start it in a garage or wherever you want to do it. All right, the whole idea is you want to get started, and that's the key. Once you get started, you just have to take action and keep on going. Now, obviously, many businesses fail. Probably 90% will fail, but most of the reason for failure are because they don't have enough money or they don't know how to manage it, and they don't understand marketing, sales, and distribution. All right, but you have this other skill, so let's see if we can take that other skill and then attach some distribution and marketing and production skills, and I think we can solve it. So every business is a good idea, but the best businesses that really work are the ones that produce a problem-solving product. So think about what the target market is. Where would you sell whatever that product or that service is? If there's a market and you can target that market, well, now you're off to the races because you have a skill, so you can create the product. Now, will the marketplace buy that? So you need to go to that target market and see if you're solving a problem for that market. If you are, the marketplace, generally speaking, will buy it. But you're going to have to test that and find out. All right, now there's lots of these target markets. You want to find the biggest target market that you can get into for the lowest absolute price. So that means you're going to have to do some research, study some psychographics and some demographics, start understanding what a target market is all about. So where are you going to sell your problem-solving product? All right, so 30 years ago, I was fortunate I discovered an almost hidden market. Now, it was a big surprise to me, and it wasn't hidden because it had been around for 200 years, but I never noticed it. But when I did, I discovered right under my nose there was a place I could buy property, because I'm in the real estate business, for 10, 20, 30 cents on the dollar, and that business had been mandated by the government. It was well over 200 years old. But I just discovered that segment. Once I did, I never looked back. So you're going to find the same kind of thing. You might have a skill, you might have a profession, and you're going to find out there's going to be lots of places to market. So find a target market so that you can put that problem-solving product to work, and guess what? You'll be able to make yourself a lot of money. So 30 years later, and thousands of hours research, here's what I found out, that there's more and more and more business in that targeted market. And there was plenty of it. Now, this is old school real estate, traditional real estate like houses and apartments and small office buildings, but it's mostly housing. All right, so what's unique about it? What's unique is the government sells properties with discounts of 60%, 70%, and 80%. Now, folks, that got my attention. If I can buy properties with those kind of discounts, I know I can find a place to sell them and find a target market. All right, what are these properties? Well, they're properties that someone didn't want. They either walked away from it or they didn't pay the taxes and the government confiscated and now is pushing that property out onto the market. And they put those properties out on the market at a public auction. Anybody can go to that auction and you can buy properties for 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents on the dollar, and there's no mortgage. The treasurer wipes out the mortgage or the deed of trust loan. So you're probably saying to yourself, wow, why would people walk away? Well, there's thousands of reasons they do that, and I can tell you there's millions of properties nationwide that people have walked away from it. Now, what do they call this business? It's called tax liens and tax defaulted property. So across America, there's over 3,000 counties that conduct these auctions. So there'll be 5,000 auctions because many of the counties will have multiple auctions. So there'll be 5,000 auctions. Now, why are they selling these properties? Well, the government actually needs money. Why do they need money? Because the property owner didn't pay taxes. Now, what property taxes do is they pay the county employees, they pay the firefighters, they pay the police department, they pay the school teachers. You get the idea. So the county has a lot of bills to pay. Now, if the property owner hasn't paid taxes that were levied, the county is going to confiscate the property. Why? Because they're going to resell it so they can pay all of those county employees that I just mentioned. So who made all the rules for this? Well, I didn't make the rules, that's for sure. The legislature of each of the states, all 50 states, the legislature makes the rule that you must pay property tax. If you don't pay property tax, your property is confiscated. In other words, the legislature mandates that your property will be sold at auction if you don't pay the taxes. All right, now I didn't make those rules, but I can tell you the Board of Supervisors or the county commissioners in your county will resell that property if you haven't paid the taxes. So someone's going to buy that property. So I basically formed a business to teach people that wanted bargains how to buy these properties for 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents on the dollar, and all of these properties will have the mortgage wiped out. The treasurer can wipe out the mortgage and the deed of trust loan. What a great way to buy property. All right, so when the property doesn't have a mortgage, they can sell it for 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents on the dollar. What a way for a savvy entrepreneur to evaluate a property and then go out there and buy it for pennies. All right, so when I found that business, I can tell you, I was concerned just like you are, how to become financially independent in 5 years, which is the title of what we're talking about in this particular episode. Well, I'm going to tell you, if you can buy properties for 20 and 30 cents on the dollar and sell them for 50 and 70 cents on the dollar, believe me, you've got generous, sometimes outrageous profits in each one of those properties that you're buying. So let me give you an example of that so that you get the idea of what's going on. All right, so let's assume a property is worth $100,000 and the treasurer wants to sell it. They want to sell it quickly. So what they'll do is they'll put it up for sale for basically very close to the back taxes, and they do that at a public auction. Anybody can bid at the public auction. So let's say Joe shows up at the auction and he wants to buy that property. Well, if it's selling that cheap, I can tell you there'll be other bidders. So he ends up purchasing the property for $30,000. Now you remember it was worth $100,000, but he bought it for $30,000, so he's way under the market. The county treasurer wipes out the auction, wipes out the deed of trust or the mortgage on the property. So now the property is sold to him for 30 cents on the dollar, which is 30 cents on the dollar or $30,000. So I teach each one of my students to buy it low and then let's sell it low. And you're saying, oh, but you're leaving money on the table. Well, keep in mind these properties might have been abandoned. They might be used and abused. So what do? We're going to discount. Why don't we discount it down and sell it for 50, 60, or 70 cents on the dollar so it will sell quickly? So in this case, let's sell it for 65 cents on the dollar. So we know it was worth $100,000. Now we're selling it for 65. So you see, this is going to be a nice profit for us because you remember we bought the property for $30,000. That gives us an upside of $35,000. So just study the graphic as we go here. All right, who wants these discounted properties? Bargain hunters want them. Old people want them. People want to do fixer-uppers want to do them. What about all those people with bad credit scores? They want these properties. There's all kinds of people. I have my students go ahead and advertise, announce the property on Craigslist, or they can put it on Zillow, They got a Trulia multiple listing service. You're getting the idea. All right. So why are we doing that? We're just getting the word out that we want to get the property sold. So it's a big mistake. And the biggest mistake people make in business is they don't figure out how to market the property. They don't figure out how to just get distribution out there. They don't figure out the media. Folks, if you want to make money, you're going to have to spend money on media so the whole world knows that you've got that property for sale. All right, there's lots of video on this channel about tax liens and tax deeds. Follow along in the example I gave you today, and then when you finish, when we're all done, right below me, you'll be able to find a free gift.